up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today, doing the what's next on Shakur Stevenson, the undefeated and now unified super featherweight champion of the world at 130 pounds. He came out on April 30th in the main event of an ESPN card and absolutely dominated Oscar Valdez over 12 rounds to unify belts. This was really a fight to determine who the top dog was at 130 pounds super featherweight, and he went out and left no doubt about it. So now the big question is, what's next for Shakur Stevenson following that win? And you know, there's a lot of people that want to see him move to 135, and you know, I'm not saying that's a bad option. You know, I mean, but the thing is there's not any big fights readily available right now, unless he wants to go after the likes of guys like Richard Comey, you know, Nakatani, guys like that at 135 might be available for him in the interim. And hey, he's going to have to test himself against those guys before he steps up against the big dogs anyway. So if that's what he decides to do, I can't blame him. But you know, I personally would like to see him, you know, take his time and maybe try to see within the next year if he could become undisputed at 130 before moving up to 135, or at least, you know, possibly wait until one of those fights become more, you know, like I said, readily available, you know, in the moment at 135. So I don't think he has to move up right now, and I don't think he's going to move up, to be honest. So I'm going to run through the top 10 here at 130 and see what possibly could be next for Shakur Stevenson following that dominant victory. So we start with, you know, Oscar Valdez. There's no reason for a rematch. He dominated the fight, so that's not there. Miguel Berchelt has moved up to 135, so that doesn't make sense. Plus, he's coming off of another loss to Jeremiah Nakatila, so it really doesn't make sense. A rematch with Jamel Herring, not going to happen. He dominated Herring. There's no reason for a rematch. Shavkat Rakhimov, you know, I don't know what the hell's going on with the Rakhimov situation. Rakhimov was supposed to, according to the IBF, was supposed to be in line to fight for the IBF title next against Kenichi Ogawa. Kenichi Ogawa is making an optional defense now in June, and I don't know what the hell happened. So, and Zelfa Barrett is fighting on the undercard, and that guy is next in line, I believe, for the title. So the IBF might have moved on, or Rakhimov may have moved on from it. So I wouldn't be surprised if Rakhimov got a crack at Shakur Stevenson for the title, because he's undefeated. You know, he's been in the ring with what's his name, Joseph Diaz, you know, and fought him to a draw. So I don't think Rakhimov has any fear of fighting a guy like Stevenson. So that fight, I think, is possible if the promotions can work out the deal. And with Stevenson being such a one-sided, you know, A side in this one, they might be able to get this fight in. Again, Rakhimov's undefeated, and he has an attractive come-forward slugger style. So I think that would be an interesting fight right there in matchup. So I do think that's possible. Number 6 is the IBF champion, Kenichi Ogawa. Ogawa's fighting June 4th. I believe after that, if he successfully retains his title, he's going to have to make a mandatory, probably against Zelfa Barrett later this year. I don't see a fight with Stevenson being possible until that is due. So I'm going to say no, but you know, I wouldn't be completely surprised if they worked out a unification bout. I would really like to see it, but again, right now I'm leaning towards the no for this one. Next up, we look at Roger Gutierrez, the WBA champion. Another one where I think Gutierrez is probably going to have to fight Hector Garcia next. So I think that's going to kind of get in the way of Stevenson being able to fight, to unify belts against Gutierrez. So unless that doesn't happen and Stevenson can work with Golden Boy to get the fight with Gutierrez made, I'm going to lean towards a no and say this one is not going to happen next for Stevenson. Next up, Roxin Roxin Conceicao, and I'm calling it now. I believe this is going to be Stevenson's next opponent. And the reason why is Conceicao, in my opinion, defeated Valdez. In a lot of people's minds, he defeated Oscar Valdez last September and was, you know, robbed is a strong word, but definitely suffered a controversial decision loss. I think Conceicao, because he's with Top Rank and because he has a tricky style and he's coming off of a nice win against Xavier Martinez in January, I think Conceicao definitely is probably going to be next for Shakur Stevenson. That's just my opinion, but I think he will be next in line for Shakur Stevenson for the unified title. Number 9, Lamont Roach Jr., former world title challenger. Not likely. He's with Golden Boy. That's one. He is coming off of a nice win against Rene Alvarado, but I don't think that fight sells to a lot of people. So I'm going to go against it. I wouldn't be surprised, but Golden Boy and ESPN Top Rank have to work together on this fight. And for this one, I think they want to build Roach towards something different first. So I'm not seeing this one. And then we have let me see, Zelfa Barrett. Well, he's the number one. It looks like he's like number 1 or number 2 in the IBF, and he's likely going to get Ogawa in the second half of the year, in my opinion. So I'm not seeing this one. I think he's lined himself up for that belt. And then you have Hector Garcia. Looks like he's fighting Roger Gutierrez for the WBA belt next. He's next in line, and from what it looks like after his upset against Colbert, so I'm not seeing that one being possible. But for me, there's 2 guys that are very possible in the top 10. You got, I think the Conceicao fight makes the most sense, and it's probably what's going to happen next. But I also think Shavkat Rakhimov would make a lot of sense, and I'm not going to be surprised to see that one. But I'm calling it to be Roxin Conceicao getting the shot at Shakur Stevenson. But Stevenson is the number 1 dog now at 130. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does moving forward as being the number 1 and top guy now officially. So that's it. That's the what's next on the undefeated unified super featherweight champion of the world at 130, Shakur Stevenson, following his dominating 12-round decision victory over Oscar Valdez. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. And this is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.